ರಾಜ್ಗಾರ್ Hello, good morning friends. Today we are going to start one of the community medicine topics called hormonal contraceptives. As we know, in the last class we have studied the fertility rates. When the fertility rates are high, we want to reduce the fertility rates. So in order to reduce the fertility rate, so one of the methods is to give the gap between birth to birth, pregnancy to pregnancy. So in that process, the process of giving the gap between pregnancy to pregnancy is called contraception. To increase the interval between two successive pregnancy is the purpose of contraception. The ideal period is minimum 2 years, but 3 to 5 years is more beneficial to give gap between one pregnancy to the other pregnancy, because we have to keep some objectives in mind to increase the quality of life, to reduce the pregnancy-related problems, to reduce the morbidity and mortality in women. So with these objectives, we introduce contraceptives. So we have devised certain methods of contraceptives. There are some spacing methods. We have to give the gap between pregnancy to pregnancy. That is called spacing methods. And when the family is completed, we can go for the terminal methods. Coming to the spacing methods, we have got natural regulation of the fertility, the safe period, unsafe period. Seeing the safe period, we should not go for pregnancy. The barrier methods, you know, the physical barriers like condom, female condom, male condom, vaginal sponge applied with some chemical, and chemical methods, and combination of physical and chemical methods like diaphragm and spermicidal condom. And intrauterine contraceptive devices are also one of the means of giving spacing between the births. Again, in intrauterine contraceptives, we have first generation, second generation, third generation, depending upon the type of intrauterine contraceptive. The first was introduced in 1962 by Dr. Lippes, called Lippes Loop. And again, we have got a hormonal methods. Some sex hormones by the female called estrogen, progesterone, secreted by the ovary, are taken advantage of for use of as a contraceptives. They can be used orally or can be used in the injection form or can be implanted subdermally. And some emergency contraceptive. In case of unprotected sexual intercourse, the women or male are very much in panic about that product. In those cases, emergency contraception is indicated. And there are some miscellaneous methods of spacing. There are chaya, centroman is one of such a thing. Meloxifene is another thing which is also used nowadays. Now coming to the terminal methods, we have got vasectomy and tubectomy. These things are irreversible. Now, in today's class, we will deal with hormonal contraceptives. If they are properly used, they are most effective spacing methods. They are 100% effective in preventing the pregnancy. And more than 65 million worldwide use the hormonal contraceptives or the pills, of which 9.5 million users are there in India. The classification of hormonal contraceptives, we have got oral contraceptive pills and depot formulations. In oral contraceptive pills, we have got combined pills, means estrogen progesterone combination, progesterone only pill, post-coital pill, once a month pill, male pill, like that. We have got 5 types of oral pills. And again, in the injectable depot formulations, we have got injectables, intramuscular injections or subcutaneous injections are there. In subcutaneous implants, vaginal rings are also impregnated with some hormone called levonorgestrel. So these are the classification of hormonal contraceptives. So primarily, the hormonal contraceptives, the hormones used are estrogen and progesterone. There are synthetic estrogens, synthetic progesterones. Now the synthetic estrogens, for example, ethinyl estradiol, mestranol. Synthetic progesterone examples are pregnance, misoprostol, medroxyprogesterone acetate, MPA. There are some histanes, norethindrone, and monanes. Monanes are most popular, in which levonorgestrel is most commonly used. These are the gonadal steroids which are used as hormonal contraceptives. So coming to the oral pills, among the oral pills we have got combined pills. That means estrogen and progesterone combinations are used in women to give the spacing between birth to birth. At present, most formulations of the combined pills contain not more than 30 to 35 microgram of synthetic estrogen and 0.5 to 1 milligram progesterone. So these doses are very low doses. They are low doses. Earlier, much more quantities were used, and they found several complications, estrogen and progesterone. That's why over the period of last 3 to 5 decades, they have reduced the content of the estrogen and progesterone to 30 to 35 microgram and 0.5 to 1 milligram respectively. The pill is given for 21 consecutive days beginning from the 5th day of the menstrual cycle. The pill should be taken every day at a fixed time, usually at bedtime. If she forgets to take one day pill, she has to take it as soon as she remembers, and the scheduled pill should be taken in time. The Department of Family Welfare, Government of India, made available 2 types of low-dose oral pills, that is Mala N and Mala D. Mala N contains levonorgestrel 0.15 milligram, ethinyl estradiol 0.03 milligram. Mala N is supplied free of cost by the Government of India. It is available in all PSCs. Next comes the progesterone only pill. So it contains only progesterone. pill is commonly referred to as mini pill or micro pill, in which norethistone and levonorgestrel are used. The progesterone pills never gained widespread use because of poor cycle control. Menstrual cycle is poorly controlled and there is increased pregnancy rate. They could be used for older women in whom the combined pill is contraindicated because of cardiovascular side effects. The third one is called postcoital contraception. It's also called morning after pill because the couple wants to avoid the product of the intercourse which they have not taken care of, unprotected sex which they have undergone the last night. Just in the morning or after within 72 hours, they can take a pill and contraception can be achieved. So, our intrauterine device can also be inserted within 5 days of unprotected sex. Now, the hormonal things which we are talking in this topic, levonorgestrel 0.75 milligram tablet is approved for emergency contraception which can be taken after the unprotected sex. 2 oral contraceptive pills containing 50 microgram estradiol each can be taken within 72 hours of unprotected sex, and the same dose can be repeated after 12 hours. That means 2 doses they have to take in order to achieve the contraception. Once a month pill is a long-acting one. Kenestrol is a combination of long-acting estrogen and short-acting progesterone. But the results are disappointing because the pregnancy rate is high and not acceptable. The fifth one is male pill. Male pill is made of oxipol. Oxipol is a derivative of cottonseed oil. It produces azoospermia in men or severe oligospermia. But 10% of the men may become permanently azoospermic. So at times it may become irreversible. It's not widely used for the purpose. It's the mode of action of the oral contraceptive pills. The combined pill is to prevent the release of ovum from the ovary. That means it inhibits the ovulation by blocking the pituitary secretion of gonadotropin that is necessary for ovulation. The progesterone-only pills render the cervical mucus thick, tenacious, and scanty. Less secretion will be there, thick secretion will be there. That's why the spermatozoa cannot flow in the vagina or uterus to meet the ovum in order to fertilize the ovum. It also reduces the tubal motility so that the ovum cannot come into the uterine cavity. Effectiveness of the oral contraceptive pills. If taken properly as prescribed by the physician, the combined pills are 100% effective. So in developed countries, the pregnancy rate is less than 1% with proper use. But in developing countries, as the people are not used to take regularly or they don't follow what the physician advises, the pregnancy rate may be higher. The adverse effects of the oral contraceptive pills. There are cardiovascular effects, particularly due to estrogen. There are chances of myocardial infarction, cerebral thrombosis, venous thrombosis, with or without pulmonary embolism. These are all due to increased atherosclerosis. Carcinogenesis. On long-term use of oral contraceptives, cervical cancer, risk is more. The metabolic effects like increase in blood pressure, the alteration of serum lipids, reduced levels of high density lipoproteins which are cardioprotective, and reduced blood clotting or the metabolic effects of the oral contraceptive pills. Other adverse effects like liver disorders can lead to hepatocellular adenoma and gallbladder disease. Lactation. Preparations containing high amount of estrogen adversely affect the quality of breast milk. Subsequent to fertility, there will be slight delay in the next conception. Ectopic pregnancies. The more chances of ectopic pregnancies, those who are taking progesterone-only pills. Common unwanted effects, which are minor, but they bother a lot to the women, like breast tenderness, which is due to estrogen effect, breast fullness and engorgement due to progesterone effect. 25% of the users complain of weight gain. Some people complain of migraine, or already migraine is there and it is further triggered by the pills. Bleeding disturbances may be there in some of the women using contraceptive pills. The beneficial effects are also there with the use of oral contraceptive pills. There are 6 diseases for which they give protection: benign breast disorders, ovarian cyst, ovarian cancer, ectopic pregnancy, pelvic inflammatory disease, fibroadenoma. So against these 6 diseases, OCP give protection. Absolute contraindications for oral contraceptive pills: cancer, breast and genitalia, liver disease, history of thromboembolism or cardiac anomalies, congenital hyperlipidemia, undiagnosed abnormal uterine bleeding. These are absolute contraindications for oral contraceptive pills. Medical supervision is a must when oral contraceptives are advised. We have to prepare a checklist and see whether the woman falls in any of the categories. This list is: we should not give oral contraceptive pills to the women above 40 years of age, or suffering with seizures, or pain in the coughs, thighs, or symptomatic varicose veins, severe headache, lactating for less than 6 months. So it interferes with the lactation. That's why it should not be given within 6 months of lactational period. And BP is more than 140 and or more than 90 diastolic. The breast mass or amenorrhea are all taken care of. If any one of these 8 things are there, we should not prescribe oral contraceptive pills. The duration of use. These pills should not be given to the ladies above 40 years. They are meant primarily for younger women because of increased risk of cardiovascular complications. We don't advise for women beyond 40 years. There are depot formulations. There are injectable contraceptives, injectable progesterone only, injectable combined contraceptives. Progesterone only injectables are DMPA, that is dipomedroxyprogesterone acetate, net-10, norethistone enanate, DMPA subcutaneously 104 mg. This dipomedroxyprogesterone acetate is given intramuscularly in the dose of 150 mg every 3 months. It does not affect lactation, it suppresses the ovulation. Side effects observed are gain in weight, irregular menstrual bleeding, prolonged infertility after its use. Net N, that is progesterone enanate. It is less widely used. The dose of 200 mg intramuscularly once in 60 days. It inhibits ovulation and it has progestogenic effects on the cervical mucosa. DMPA subcutaneous dose of 104 mg is given once in 3 months subcutaneously, which contains 104 mg of DMPA. The side effects are disruption of the normal menstrual cycle, amenorrhea, etc. The combined injectable contraceptives contain the combination of estrogens and progesterones given in the injectable form. They are given at monthly intervals. They act by suppression of ovulation because of estrogen. The cervical mucus also becomes affected by the progesterone. The examples are cyclophem or cycloplovira and esigena have been found to be highly effective. The failure rate with cyclophem and cycloplovira are 0.2%. With the esigena, the failure rate is 0.4%. Contraindications for the use of oral contraceptive pills. Suspected pregnancy. In suspected pregnancy, we should not give. Thromboembolic disorders. If there is any history of thromboembolic disorders or deep vein thrombosis, it should not be given. Coronary artery disease or patients with history of migraine, malignancy of the breast, diabetes with vascular complications. These are all contraindications for oral contraceptive pills. Subdermal implants. Norplant is the product which consists of 6 cyelastic capsules or silicone rubber capsules which contain 35 mg of levonorgestrel and Norplant R2 which consists of levonorgestrel 2 small rods. These Norplant and Norplant 2 can be implanted subdermally in the forearm or upper arm. Now, vaginal rings. These vaginal rings consist of levonorgestrel, the hormone is slowly absorbed through the vaginal mucosa, and vaginal rings can be kept inside the vagina for 3 weeks of the menstrual cycle and removed during the 4th week. Now coming to the post-conceptional methods. Sometimes the couples don't take any protection, or it is primarily the problem of the teenagers. Before marriage, they go for conjugation and later on they repent. For them also, there are certain contraceptive methods are there which they can use, and their awareness should be increased to use all these things because they cannot avoid their emotions. The post-conceptional methods are menstrual regulation, menstrual induction, and abortion. Coming to menstrual regulation, pregnancy test can accurately determine whether or not the woman is pregnant or not. Once they go for this test, they will know. But usually they don't go for the test They will develop panic and they will be scared of the product of the intercourse. That's why menstrual regulation is a method in which there will be aspiration of the uterine contents if they are of 6 to 14 days after the rest period. Within a short period after the suspected pregnancy or suspected conception, this method can be used. The aspirators of the uterine must be there. The complications may arise out of this aspiration, uterine perforation. A trauma may occur because with a lot of pressure, the uterine content is aspirated. Before that, if she is a nulliparous, the cervix will be dilated. The late complications are tendency to abortion, infertility, menstrual disorders may occur later on, and there is increased chances of ectopic pregnancy after this aspiration. So menstrual regulation differs from the abortion in the following aspects. There is lack of certainty of pregnancy. We don't know whether pregnancy has occurred or not, the conception has occurred or not, but they are scared of this and wanted to get rid of the product. If the product is there or not, they wanted to get rid of. That's why they blindly undergo the process. The lack of legal restrictions for this procedure is also one of the aspects. Increased safety of early procedures. Because it is an early procedure, early part of the first trimester, there is no harm. So menstrual induction is another method of post-conceptional contraceptive. Intrauterine application of 1 to 5 milligram of prostaglandin F2 solution disturbs the abnormal progesterone prostaglandin. Normal progesterone and prostaglandin, there is a balance between progesterone and prostaglandin which is going in the body. So after what is life, it is the balance between the different hormones and different enzymes. If this balance is disturbed between the progesterone and prostaglandin, there won't be conception. That's why prostaglandin F2 solution is injected intrauterine way. The uterus responds with a sustained contraction lasting for 7 minutes, followed by a cyclic contraction. Thereafter, there will be cyclic contraction intermittently and continuing for 3 to 4 hours. That expels the product of the conception. Now coming to the abortion. Abortion is also one of the methods of post-conceptional contraception. What is abortion of dawn? It is a termination of pregnancy before the fetus becomes viable. That is, viability of the fetus is 28 weeks of pregnancy or gestation. There are 2 types of abortion, mainly spontaneous abortion, which occurs due to overactivity of the uterus, hormonal changes or genetic changes, or improper implantation of the product of conception. So, various reasons, then there occurs spontaneous abortion. Induced abortion is induced by the third person. It is induced by the third person. The product of the concept is unwanted pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy. That's why they wanted to get rid of the product of the conception. There are illegal ways, there are legal ways. Illegal ways are unsafe, hazardous, and most of the people illegal methods because of lack of awareness, lack of accessibility, lack of availability of services, and so many other things. And it is very hazardous. So that's why abortion is legalized. In India, it is legalized in the form of MTP Act, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971, which has come into force in 1972. In India, about 6 million abortions take place every year. Abortion is considered as a disease. Health education is the vaccine. About 56 million abortions occurred each year between 2010 and 2014. 50% of them occurred in Asia alone. 7 million women are hospitalized per year due to unsafe abortions. In developed countries, 30 abortions take place per 1 lakh people, whereas in developing countries, 220 abortions take place per 1 lakh women. 2/3 of the abortions occur outside the health services because they don't take the advice of the or utilization of the health services provided by the government. So they face complications like early complications of the abortion like hemorrhage, shock, sepsis, uterine perforation, thromboembolic phenomenon, etc. Late complications may also be there in abortion, like infertility, ectopic pregnancy, risk of spontaneous abortion, the consequent pregnancies. Particularly, the optimal time for the abortion is 7 to 8 weeks. That is the safe period for abortion. If somebody doesn't want the product to be kept, it can be aborted safely under MTP Act. The safe period is 7 to 8 weeks. MTP Act allows abortion up to 20 weeks. The risk of death is 7 times higher than the normal people. Legalization of abortion prior to 1971 in India is governed by Indian Penal Code 1860 and Code of Criminal Procedure 1898. After 1972, this act has come into force. So it has mentioned certain rules and regulations which were revised in 1992. Under the rules, there are certain conditions in which this abortion can be undertaken. The medical conditions, eugenic conditions, humanitarian conditions, socio-economic conditions, failure of the contraceptive. The consent is a must. The abortion is done below 18 years. Consent of the guardian must be taken below the 18 years of age. Above the 18 years of age, also consent is necessary. If the lady is lunatic, not in a position mentally to give consent. The persons who can do it, one registered medical practitioner can do abortion under MTP Act if the pregnancy gestation period is not more than 4 weeks. If it causes more than 12 weeks but less than 20 weeks, 2 registered medical practitioners are eligible to do it. But the medical practitioners should have an experience of assisting and having experience of conducting the MTP. The place where it can be conducted. The MTP can be conducted in a designated hospital or designated center for the government, centers by the government of India, with the strict confidentiality. Their name or any particulars should not be revealed in any case. MTP rules 1975 are there to reduce the time of 1975, is again revised to reduce the time consumption for the MTP. Qualifications required for a person to conduct MTP are they should have assisted 25 cases in a particular hospital designated by the government. And the qualifications should have 6 months postmanship in obstetric and gynecology, postgraduate in obstetric and gynecology. He should have 3 years experience if he is a registered practitioner before 1971. 1 year of experience is enough if he is registered after 1971, because in 1971 MTP Act has come into force. The non-governmental organizations and private clinics can also conduct MTP under the new rules. The chief medical officer can give license. Earlier, the board is to give license to the doctors to conduct MTP. Now, under new regulations, private medical clinic can also conduct with the proper permission and proper certification by the chief medical officer of the district. So these are all various contraceptive methods we have discussed today. The spacing methods like hormonal methods, oral contraceptives, and injectable hormonal contraceptives. And if abortion is considered as a disease, health education is the vaccine. Wherever you go, whatever you do, our primary motto is making people aware of the available, affordable, accessible services. So unless people are aware of availability of these services, they cannot take the benefit of the services. So our effort is making the people aware of all these methods and help them to choose the best method suitable for them. So thank you very much, and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you.